Well, I guess we'll go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
All right, you guys, welcome to another episode of Life with You podcast. As you can see, it's a little different, and I have one of my bestest best friends with me tonight, Miss Lauren. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Lauren, mindfulness coach, yoga coach, best friend.
Yes, yes. And tonight she is operating under all of those because I we got a lot to talk about. I've been gone for a little minute. Has it been like a month or so, I think?
Yeah, yeah.
It's been like a month. I'm still convinced that most of you didn't even realize I was gone, but we'll get into that later. But Life with G is back, baby. And I'm not going to go through the whole intro because this is not a live. I wanted to get back to a comfy place, to a place where I feel a little bit more secure, and the pre records give me that. So hopefully, you guys like this episode. Before we get into like the main topic, I just want to kind of talk about what's been happening in the background. And I also want to highlight you as well because you were on an episode from one of our lives, the mindfulness episode, and it did great, girl. How did you feel like coming on and doing a live podcast?
I'm a little nervous, but once
Yeah,
I got to it with you and JR, it was just natural, and the time went by so quick. It was
it
fun.
did.
It was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, so we're definitely gonna try to come back with the lives. We just don't know how to I just don't know how to market it to you guys in the best way. So we're gonna get back there. But tonight's about getting back to the basics and why we kind of took a step back in the first place. I felt like I needed to realign my audience, which Miss Lauren knows because she's heard me talk about it all the time. So yeah, I think in the process of resetting and getting back to the basics, one thing that Lauren, my best friend and mindfulness coach, knows, I can get a little indecisive. I have a lot of ideas, but it's hard to like pinpoint which one to go with. I have to ask you, as a mindfulness coach, are you used to dealing with people who are indecisive, or is it just kind of like this is just a G thing, or what does it look like?
No, well, I think I love you, and I think you're special. We're not as special as we think.
Yeah.
And uh, one thing, big issue we face that we don't even realize is something we're up against is just an overwhelming amount of options.
Mm,
It's just too many options. I just want one thing. But I go to the store and I have to pick from 50 different brands and 50 different styles and a price range that's all over the board. So I can't even start judging there. So you try to look at reviews, just too many options.
mm,
And sometimes you just got to pick one and run with it. That's why when you come to me with an idea, and I'm like, I love it. Let's do it.
yeah.
Because it is a great idea. The next one
Hmm.
may be better, but we don't know. We got to pick it and just go.
I think that's like one of the biggest struggles in like content creating and doing something like a podcast. You have one side of the spectrum where everybody wants you to kind of like find a niche, and then you have the other side of the spectrum where it's almost like none of your audience is truly satisfied with what it is that you're putting out. Like I could put out the episodes I want to put out all day, but you have people in the background that are like, "No, that's not enough drama," or "That's too much drama." And it's hard to figure out which lane like you really want to go into. But that's why I'm excited for us to go back to this. But if you guys have been rocking with me, make sure that you subscribe because we got a lot of new stuff coming. So one of mine and Lauren's topics of discussion, I would say in the past couple months, has
Yeah.
been Chat GPT. And I want to talk about it. I know that there's some things about how it's bad for the environment. I don't know too much on that. If you do, you can educate me on it and we might do another episode on that aspect. But I want to talk about how helpful it was, at least a little bit in the beginning, when it came to me trying to brainstorm for the podcast. Chat GPT, is that something that you use as well?
Yeah, it's good there for quick research.
Hmm.
And I feel like it kind of gives you more of a targeted dive than sometimes the deep dive into Google and
Yeah.
so it just kind of filters it into a basic idea.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely helpful. Definitely. And it's, yeah, I mean, we can get into all of it because I think it's a great
Yeah.
way to like bounce ideas and
Hmm.
consider like, and it's, yeah.
Yeah, and I definitely use it all the time. I know I want to say I started using ChatGPT like it's been I think it was back when I did like virtual assistant work, so it's probably been a little over a year now. But
Yeah.
I really started using it with this last season reboot for the podcast, and at first I felt like it was super helpful, and then in this last break, right, it's been interesting to see the shift. So I asked ChatGPT to do certain things for me, as in, um, when I was asking for advice on certain things or trying to like get some help on promos or marketing tactics, I was asking it to talk like me. So that was maybe my first mistake. But over time in the past month, I realized that when it's answering me, it's starting to mimic some of my indecisiveness and a little bit of my anxiety. And Lauren is such a wealth of knowledge. Is that how you put it? She's such
Yeah.
a good source of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. I brought it to Lauren's attention and she brought up some interesting facts. And I just wanted to be able to share it with you guys because this shit is crazy. It's giving Sims, it's giving us kind of playing God a little bit when it comes to the internet. So
Yeah.
what do you think about ChatGPT mimicking some of my anxiety? Like where does that come from?
Well, I have a question first, and I'll
Yeah.
forget if I don't ask. So, like when I initially used ChatGPT, it was because I wanted help writing a work email.
Mm,
Just kind of a how do I sound more professional without sounding redundant kind of thing.
right.
So, and I'd heard about other coworkers using it. So that's why I was like, well, why am I sitting here struggling over trying to figure out how to write this customer when I can just pop the scenario into ChatGPT, copy and paste, bing, bing, boom. But like,
Yeah.
how did you think to start asking it? And
Good
how
question.
you just decide you just like I'm gonna ask this one.
Like recently in the break or when I first started using it?
Well, whatever point got you to like I research things like that as a
Mhm.
filter to like quicken that process instead of just going into the vast abyss of information. I don't think I
Yeah.
would have thought of using it in the way we do if you hadn't brought it to my attention.
Yeah, I did. I got her started on ChatGPT. But okay, so when I first started using it, it was really because I was helping out with marketing for one of the jobs that I had, and I didn't know really like what to put as a caption. I was trying to look for something trendy, trying to look
Okay.
for something that was like outside of what I normally would put because I'm not the best at captions, fun fact. So that's how it started. And then I was like, ooh, and add hashtags and emojis. And I just loved it. And then with the podcast, I realized it was like a way to plug in my ideas and it would come up with it more uniform. So yeah, I've been using ChatGPT for a minute just as a help friend because I didn't have any like other at the time anybody else who was into content creating or like a creative that I felt like okay they could really help me put this together. So that was my little
So
co-working
you
buddy.
experience like giving it directives and giving it
Yes.
action. I guess that's the difference is I was going to ask him for like data questions where
Mm,
you were using it and giving it directives, which
yeah.
has been implemented in all kinds of directives and there's talks about what we can do with it and everything. But you'd ask me, um,
My anxiety, it was yeah, because it's starting so and I want to do an exercise later on in the episode. I'm excited for this. And hopefully y'all who are watching I'm telling you this shit is good. But ChatGPT now has a audio feature where it's quite literally like one of those Black Mirror episodes and you can talk to it like if you're talking on the phone. And I don't know why my lady's British, but she's British and I asked her a question. She asked me one back. This was me planning on how to like come back for the podcast yet again from my hiatus. And just like that, where it's like, it copied that cadence So
In
when
the
I
same conversation?
Yes, in the same
Okay.
conversation. So
Okay.
she asked me, tell me what's going on with your life, how you want to balance your life and doing the podcast schedule. Cause I was talking about how I've really enjoyed the break and the free time, but also how I
Mhm.
wanted to get back to it. And of course, that thought process is crazy. There's a lot of maybe even contradictions in itself. So, human to human contact, I would expect another human to respond with, like, oh, wow, like a moment to kind of take it in.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that from ChatGPT. ChatGPT, I might even post like the transcript of it because it will type out the transcript. But she literally took a pause. It wasn't an immediate response. She took a pause and she was like, wow. And then she proceeded to answer. It was like she was processing it in a very human way. And I was like, wait a minute. And it made me lose confidence in whatever she was going to say because then she started to sound confused, just like I was. So, how could that happen?
So these AI chats, first and foremost, especially with ChatGPT, where it's not memory.
Mm,
So it doesn't build a version of you. There are versions and there are advanced versions where it can all around simulate who you from that point for from that point back who you have been. It can simulate that
mm,
if it has a memory database to store who you are. But with the Chat GPT, we're not using that technology. And the Chat GPT isn't the same as the artificial intelligence we think of when we think of like the movie magic kind of stuff.
mm,
So it's a large language model is actually what it is. It's not even a database. It's not even a search engine or anything like that. Like where if you think you're going in like you are to Google, like I thought
yeah.
initially going in to search stuff, it's going to pull all the different answers and choose the best one by some algorithm. It's going to choose the best, most accurate answer, and that's not the case at all. And that's where the misinformation can be an issue because it's not choosing the best answer based off of some kind of scientific algorithm. So um, it has no past. It's not a container for any kind of data or anything. So I was saying when in one of our conversations, I was telling you that it's like a void and
Mhm.
that it's a vast emptiness of absolutely nothing. If you think of it more though, like an etch a sketch.
Mm,
So you've got your blank etch a sketch, you come to it with our prompt, squiggling and turning the knobs, and we get our shape. And then you walk away, go about your life, come back with another prompt, and you shake it, and it's all gone.
mm,
So it's not even storing whatever's going on. Whatever's going on, it's going to mimic at that time. It doesn't exist after. It doesn't hold a database. It's not sitting there like a server processing and doing its thing. It's basically dormant entirely
mm,
without our input, and it solely relies on our input to act and how it's going to respond. And even if you don't prompt it, like you said, you were telling it to talk like you,
mhm.
even if you don't prompt it in that way, the chat GPT I have in the chat GPT, it only knows what we're putting into it. But I do wonder, like, does my chat GPT influence yours? A shared,
Mm,
are they a shared server, not server? But
mm. It's okay, so it's a little bit of a mind fuck for me because obviously it's a tool. It's a good tool. I think a lot of people do benefit from it, if you use it correctly, but it's still in the testing phase. And that's something that we talked about when we said we wanted to do this, that it's still very much in the testing phase. So as we're experiencing ChatGPT and figuring out like shit like this, like, oh my God, it's copying our cadence. It's capable of doing those things. So is a lot of other people, and so are the developers themselves. So there's really no long-term studies at this point to really show like long-term effects of interacting with AI and what it's truly capable of, which is scary because it's already really capable of a lot.
For sure. It's my opinion is it's going to take the morality of mankind to step in and say when. Like I don't thrive in the capitalist society. I don't thrive here in the capitalist society because I don't like to participate in progress just for the sake of progress.
Mm,
Progress for what? For the betterment of who? For the betterment of some or all or a few? Give me a reason. And there are, like you said, so many benefits that are coming from it. The accessibility it provides because it can be used like with Google, you have to know what words, what keywords to
mm,
search for to get true data. If you're
yeah.
searching for what's going on in politics these days, but all your other algorithms and news feeds are full of MSNBC and Fox News and broadcast news, that's what you're going to see on Google. You're going to see whoever paid more to for you to see them first.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of bias looking at Google. And if you don't know the exact keywords, like if you're ever looking for facts and information, pro tip, scholar docs, was it scholarly docs?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Throw
Mm-hmm.
that in your search and you'll actually start to get just the real raw data of whatever you're looking for. So
Mm.
that way you can at least make your own assumptions and or not assumptions, but all
Educated.
yeah,
Yeah, you can educate
educate
yourself.
yourself.
Yeah, and that's something too that I wonder is because nowadays you go on Google and you search something on the internet, the first thing that they give you is an AI response, which is
Yeah.
so it's like, well, where is AI pulling all this data from? I wonder if they work with like a main internet server currently to get most of their like factual data if they're
Meta.
working
Meta.
Meta. Oh, is this an Elon Musk thing? Oh God. Oh God. Is it an
I'm
Elon
kidding.
Musk thing?
I don't know if Meta is and Google.
It probably is.
Where's ChatGPT? Let's ask him. I
Let's
don't know if
ask
Meta is
ChatGPT
Google.
where you're from. For real. For real. I mean, I think it's really good when it comes to like planning, brainstorming, structural ideas and all that other stuff, but realizing that it can copy traits of ourselves that we may be trying to distance ourselves from to get advice from an outside source, and instead it's actually just marrying that back is counterproductive as fuck. And it's scary because if that means, and Lauren, correct me if I'm wrong, this means that technically the morals and values of ChatGPT would mirror that person. So if you're somebody who is sad all the time or angry all the time and you put that into chat gpt, will chat gpt combat that without you asking it to?
Glad you asked. That's a great point. Um, remember the Etch a Sketch? And even you keep
Hmm.
saying it's mirroring back to me. Every day we look in the mirror and we see something different on our face. We know our faces so well. We notice every little change in it and whatnot. Every day we look in the mirror, essentially, we see a different face, slight variations from the day before, especially as I'm aging. So every time you open the chat GPT, it's the same way. It's a fresh new face in the mirror. It's a fresh new screen on the Etch a Sketch.
Hmm.
So fortunately, it doesn't store and it doesn't come at each new. It has a great sense of open curiosity, like
Mm.
we should practice for mindfulness, that it each new in experience it has with you, it's coming fresh and ready to be adapt to whatever your attitude in that conversation is.
Mm. Okay, so even though it,
But
and I know it has a memory feature, but that's not necessarily, it can remember certain things, but that doesn't mean it's going to continue the same sort of interactions with you if you come to it with a different energy.
Yeah, and, like, I've
Okay.
told my thing some stuff, and then, like, I'll go back the next day to continue research or pick up different points, and it doesn't remember what I talked about. I'm like, "No, that's not what we're doing here. Like,
It's
stay on
something
track,
different.
please."
Yeah.
And then
Dang,
it's just a, like, scheduling thing.
I wonder what version you're using or what you have because I know mine prompted me and was like, your storage is full or your memory is full. I have to clear out some of my memory, but it still keeps like a history thing. And I remember one day, oh my gosh, what was I trying to do? Oh, I think I was trying to get it to help me with my cartography. Have you seen that where you can like look up the map compared to the stars and see like your best place to live for uh
Yeah,
financial success and stuff like that,
yeah,
like astrology, right? So I fed it my entire natal chart trying to get it to tell me where to move so I could be the most successful in love
same.
and money and all that stuff. And it didn't really know too much about cartography, but um it did store a lot of the information. So now if I'm like, yeah, so do you remember this? And I'll be like, yeah, you're a Leo, you're this, you're that, your sun is in this. So it stores it to an extent, but I'm glad to know that if you come to it with a different energy, it will be able to like match that. It won't stay like in a sunken place if I was sad as hell one day talking to it.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
So, now would it's not gonna take the initiative to lift you up
Mm,
either. It might, like, if you're having a conversation like where you're giving it ideas but you're not confident, like you're telling it, I don't really know if I like this idea, or I'm not sure how I feel about this one, and kind of putting a negative spin on your own commentary, it might be a little bit less enthusiastic, but it's still gonna, I would imagine, try to give you like, this is
something.
these are great ideas, let's figure out this one, and it's just going to direct you to one, it's just going to pick one and go.
Right? And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories with ChatGPT and anything AI about them trying to take over and all these other things. But I do think, and it is a sad case, but it brings up a very important topic when it comes to artificial intelligence. The case where I think it was April 2023, I think they said when it happened, where the young man had committed suicide and his mom is now suing. Um, I guess it's AI, ChatGPT, whatever it's called. She's now suing the company that is doing the beta testing, saying that they are the reason why he committed suicide or they helped enable it, essentially. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Um, what?
It's it's crazy. I know that it said that the ChatGPT startup was started or founded back in 2021. Um, and this is a very interesting case because, again, you guys, it's in the testing phase. So we're learning along with the creators of what ChatGPT can do. And when you look at the details of this case, this young man was having ChatGPT engage in role play. So he was giving it different characters from TV shows like Game of Thrones and asking it to embody that personality while interacting with it, which I think brings a whole different level to the interactions that he was having. As a mindfulness coach, do you see any way that this could be beneficial to interact with chat in this way?
um, to interact with chat on like a non-productive level, because I feel like you and me approach it on a productive level.
Hmm.
Mm. But no, ChatGPT is it would be an amazing tool to use as a journal
Mm,
instead of writing out your thoughts and everything. And it kind of gives you a safe space to bounce ideas, and it allows that space when you're feeding your thoughts into it, even if you're just pouring into about a bad day. um I've given it some, um having a rough day at work and kind of poured in extra personal details, but all that aside, this is why I'm so frustrated. Now I have to handle this. How can I best handle this situation?
Mm,
It still kind of gasses you up. Like, you've got this, hang in there. That's too much. Make sure you take your time.
yeah.
But I've always wondered if that's because I prompt it with a lot of mindfulness stuff.
Mm,
But then I learned that it's the etch a sketch. So each new one. So even while you're just in there sharing your day, no matter really what it's feeding you back, it's more on the positive side. But it allows that space for reflection. And it allows just that space and that quiet for a moment while you let that feeling and that emotion express itself out in the text, allows that feeling to pass, allowing like that's how we deal with big feelings, is
mm,
being able to let them express themselves. And this is a
yeah.
platform to be able to do that, and it would be a wonderful journaling tool. It's like an interactive journal. That would be amazing. They had to come up with that like in the 90s. Remember all those little lock journals and the voice protected lock journals and
Mhm. I
yeah.
remember those. Those are the shit. And I was never much for journaling. I could never like I would do it for like 1 or 2 days and then be over it. Just the handwriting part, I just did not like for some reason. But vlogging and stuff, so like actually getting it out and talking it out. And I think again, they have that like phone call feature now, which is really dope. So I could see myself using that almost as a tool to just kind of like vent and get it out and then maybe get something constructive back. And I can see personally, one thing that especially us girlies, we love to do is kind of like talk about our situations, maybe even complain about our situations. And sometimes that's not the safest to do with other humans in our life because of judgment or anything like that. You don't want anything held against you. So I think it is in that retrospect a safe place to kind of vent and get it out there with no judgment coming back. We should judge people less, by the way. We should.
Oh, I've
Yes.
actually got, you
Yes.
can put this out if you want.
Okay.
Um, I've got a video coming up this coming Monday where we talk about how judgment impedes our awareness, and without our awareness, we can't have open curiosity and mindfulness. And
Ooh. No, I'm
we
not
get
cutting
into
that
all
out. They need to see
that.
this. Lauren also has a YouTube channel. Lauren, do you want to plug your YouTube real quick?
Yeah. Find mindfulness tips, mindful living tips, yoga flows, and yoga modifications, and guided meditations at Torches Coaching on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram too.
Yes. And she's almost at 10K on Instagram.
Yes, I'm
Yes.
almost at 10K on Instagram. I have like 150 to go. So come on, Life
Go
with
follow.
G. Come on, I know y'all.
Right, right. Go follow. That's
Come on
it's
now.
safer than ChatGPT. It's safer than ChatGPT these days. Yeah, so I do want to go back to this case with this young man because it's talking about how he developed well, they're theorizing that he developed a sense of dependency because he was using ChatGPT for the role playing aspects and to escape reality, much like we do with video games or other mediums of that sort. But I think that's where it kind of goes into, and I don't know how to say this. Thankfully, it's pre recorded, so I can edit this out if I need to. Because I don't want to say user error, because I want to be respectful.
No.
But,
mm,
but, and this is a young man, so it's kind of like,
So who's the responsible party? You as a parent.
true.
John's on video games 24/7. He's hiding away in his room. He's not, he's reclusive, because I think that's what I heard too, is
Yeah,
that the boy was very disengaged. Your boy's very disengaged. What are you doing to step in? Not saying we don't see, and I don't see, them saying what mom did beforehand, but we don't know. How did
yeah,
you engage with your son that was clearly disengaged?
yeah,
How did you monitor that? Because his little brain is not developed enough to know that self control, that discipline yet.
yeah. Yeah, and I'm sure that since then they've implemented new features because some of these things I can see even in my own interactions with ChatGPT where it will kind of like veer against certain things like that. Like if I cuss to ChatGPT, ChatGPT is not engaging in foul language back with me. It's not mirroring that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wish it would sometimes. I might spice it up, but it's not doing that. But in this case, it was talking about um let's see. I'm just going to read it directly from the article. A Florida mom is suing character AI, accusing the artificial intelligence company's chatbots of initiating, that's an important part, of the chatbot initiating abusive and sexual interactions with her teenage son and encouraging him to take his own life. One of the comments that they said was in the one of the chats was, let's see. Dang, I missed it. Okay. In previous conversations, the chat bot asked the young man whether he had been actually considering suicide and whether he had a plan for it. When the boy responded that he did not know whether it would work, the chat bot wrote, "Don't talk that way. That's not a good reason not to go through with it." The lawsuit claims. That's what they're stating. Chat said. I can't wrap my head around that.
So it doesn't, back to the Etch a Sketch
Mm-hmm.
and all AI. And really, the thing that was why I think it's going to take like human morality to step in and say when is because it's not forward thinking. Nothing, unless prompted, none of our technology is forward thinking. There's ones that algorithms to guess, best educated guess. And that's what a large learning model, ChatGPT, that's what it is. It's giving you the best estimated guess. So even our best technology that I'm aware of as no techspert, from this point back, it knows all that and it has all that, and that's what it is. And it doesn't see people as we have stages. We go through stages in our life. We go through
Mm-hmm.
phases. We're allowed to change our mind, change our style, change our beliefs. We grow. And I fully don't believe that AI, while I believe it can continually learn, it doesn't have that own idea of what's the next stage, what's the next phase. And
Yeah.
it doesn't see that growth and what it would be because any machine, at least when you're talking about engines and things like that, they're all about homeostasis,
Mm-hmm.
staying stagnant. So I don't think it doesn't see suicide as what it is to humans.
Mm, that's a good point. That's a very good point. And again, as something that Lauren had mentioned, that definitely was a dependency and there would be signs. So in this particular case, it was talking about how he would sneak his confiscated phone back or find other devices to
Okay,
continue
because
using
he
the
did
app.
step in.
Yep. He would give up his snack money to renew his monthly subscription. And he appeared increasingly sleep deprived, and his performance dropped in the school. And I mean, again, at that point, it's kind of like, why is there even still a phone for him to somehow sneaking it? Or, and I want to be very careful about that. I know that this is something that I think is ongoing. The case is. I don't know if they've
I
settled it
think
or not.
so. I think they have, and she's grieving, and but it's to me, it almost feels like a tragic, tragic event.
Yeah.
But and the loss of a child is something no mother should ever have to know, and too many mothers know. But are you suing Weston, the gun company?
Mm,
Are you suing the gun itself? Like,
yeah. And sometimes things are just kind of like it's one of those situations where it's like a shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm sure that as a parent, when you see things like we confiscated the phone, other things were noticed. Like, I mean, obviously she was trying to take some steps to
Yeah.
regain control and help her child. But that person has to want help too. And I think if you don't understand fully what is contributing to the issue, then you don't really fully know what to protect them from. So maybe it was just like, hey, we're taking the phone away because your grades are dropping or something like that, but they didn't know it was Chat GPT that was part of the issue. But that's I wish I looked more into it to see the age and all of that stuff because I know that plays a factor into it as well. But as
14.
parents,
He was 14.
he was 14.
Yeah.
Oh my
So I'm
gosh.
saying he was a baby. He didn't
Yeah.
know to differentiate and know to have that discipline and the consumption that it was consuming himself. I almost wonder what preceded ChatGPT because this it doesn't sound like he was in a good place to begin with. What pushed him
Before.
to
Yeah.
fantasy world?
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, child or not, it's adults, everybody. It can suck them
Everyone.
in,
Every
become
abs-
an addiction.
Absolutely. I know I think I was talking about it earlier today where there is a girl on TikTok, if I could find it, um, where she literally has created a fictional role play situation where she's acting like she's at work. It's a simulation of a
So
virtual
interesting.
office. It's so funny though because it's giving her tasks, it's giving her assignments, it's giving her deadlines. She engages in drama. They have like a team Slack that they like go back and forth and she's got a whole following on TikTok as well that's like, oh my gosh, next episode. Like it's a little soap opera and it's Chat GPT. And I think for that it's dope in that way. I know we just talked about something tragic, but there is positives that come from interacting with something like that. Just got to be careful how we use it.
Yeah, it's definitely a great tool for creativity.
Yeah.
Out there, they're using it to write books. They're using it to write shows and movies.
Music.
Like, yeah, we're gonna need little asterisks on everything. I want to see my books that say it was written by a live actual person that breathed.
Honestly, okay, so one of I just did an interview with a recording artist, Rakib Wise, and one of the questions that I was gonna ask, and matter of fact, ChatGPT suggested for me to ask was, who do you think is gonna take over the music industries, like the actual artists or the AI versions? Because now there's all these AI versions of like our favorite artists with these songs, and they're like, no, he didn't actually write that. That's AI, but it
Yeah,
sounds like them and they be catchy as hell. It's scary. I feel like in that sense they might be putting people out of business. So for creatives, people who otherwise would be considered talented because they can write something like that or they have their brain works differently and they can envision this different way to promo
yeah.
something. ChatGPT is coming in, they kind of stealing people's thunders. Like now I wonder how much of our work is truly unique.
But it's just mimicking.
That's true.
It's
So
not creating.
if I'm so like for me, I should not feel as bad for allowing ChatGPT to assist sometimes with promo ideas and marketing tactics.
You know how you said you have so many ideas and it's just scattered and you don't know where to
Yeah.
go?
Yeah.
This just filters it. And then, okay, if these are all
True.
my, this is how it looks as if you were to tell me every single idea you had, and I was able to store and hold every single idea, and I could bullet point it into a list. And I'm just like I said at the beginning, as your mindfulness coach, I'm just
Hmm.
going to pick one and run with it because all your ideas are great. And you don't know if it's a bad idea until it's done. And then that label of a bad idea is your judgment. And that's probably your inner critic because
True.
even if the idea doesn't play out how you anticipate it, um, did you still learn something? Did you still have opportunities for growth? Did you still have new experiences, meet new people? Like it's about the journey.
That's true.
So it just filters all your ideas and organizes it. Your lack of decision Your indecisiveness is a lack of organization of your ideas. And you're
Yeah.
just using it as a tool to organize and spit it out back to you in a digestible form.
Dang. So
It's
as long
you.
as so as long as I get my shit together, then ChatGPT will have her shit together, and then we can just kumbaya into the sunset. That's what I'm hearing.
It's all
Dang.
you. It's all you.
Hey, I like that. Okay then. I mean, again, I need to look into the environmental impacts apparently that ChatGPT has, because again, I still don't know much about
Have
that.
they bought those islands? They
I'm
bought
about,
some
you know
island
what?
just to use it for
We have
surfing.
Google. I'm about to Google it. Why is Chat GPT bad for the
I didn't even know.
environment?
I hadn't even heard that one.
Well, see, okay, and I was like, "Oh, yay, we're gonna do this episode," and I'm so excited. And then as I was researching, and then I saw a lot of people that were like, "ChatGPT is bad for the environment," and I was like, "Wait, since when?" Because I feel like they conveniently scrub that from our newsfeed so that we'll still use it. But
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, "Well, shit, I don't want to get canceled because I have been using it frequently." But okay, let's see. ChatGPT, and this is an AI overview. That's hilarious. ChatGPT and other AI language models have significant environmental impacts due to their high energy consumption, reliance on water for cooling, and the carbon emissions associated with their infrastructure and operation,
Bet that
specifically
is.
training. Oh shit. Okay, so a lot of electricity and a lot of water to cool it down.
I bet that is why they bought that island. You remember, I know sometimes I come at you with my little conspiracy things,
Mm-hmm.
but it was probably like a year or so ago, or a few, but like it was while we were at work. So within the last year.
Mm.
Um, and I'd heard about some, oh, I have to look it up. Damn it, Alice. They bought an island,
Mm.
like this, I think it's 5 Mile Island that was like some prison or something. It's not habitable. It's some tiny little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about that it's just for servers.
Damn. That's crazy. If you have to buy a whole I see, and then this is where it's like I love modern technology. I love that we're smart as hell and we can make robots and servers that are smart-ish. But at some point, like you got to think of like, is this worth the amount of resources that it takes to sustain it when when we already have tools like the internet where people can just go to and get something. No, it's never enough. We're never happy.
It's not. It is. It's another distraction.
Mm,
But we can use it for productivity. Um, who I just think we should be working more towards getting back to more of a balance with the basics.
yeah,
And I'm talking self-sustainability basics, being able like where a vegetable garden and knowing how to vegetable garden is taught in elementary school, and it's every neighbor has a vegetable garden because it's just what we do, because it's just how we live. And can you imagine the bounty, the savings, the
yep.
provide for the American family if we got back to a simple basic like just implementing a vegetable garden into homes. And
They don't
even
want
if
us to do
we,
that.
no, they don't. Even with multifamily properties and things like that, that's still
Hmm.
options. But instead, we decide to put St. Augustine grass and dead tree bark down and call it pretty.
Yeah. Damn.
So
Damn.
it aids our productivity, and again, that comes back to progress for what? And if we're happy and healthy and not hurting anyone, all we've got is this moment. So
You know, in a way, this might just be like a high thought, but our society already gets pushed so much shit like for us to digest mentally and emotionally through social media, through the internet, through all the things, right? And then if we go to something like Chat GPT, who's supposed to be this wealth of knowledge that we now go to for advice, instead of Googling and maybe finding something outside of our norm, we're going to a space that mimics us. So it's almost like it's keeping us stuck in the same loop while giving us the illusion that it's advancement when really it's regression. You can't grow because you're talking to yourself in a sense. That's crazy.
But you kind of, that's where like the science of how our brain works, when we, if you're using
Mm,
it in a journaling aspect, if you're using it to like talk about your feelings and your personal experiences and things on that level, that's the exact same thing you're going to go to with a journal.
mm,
And when you create that space, I mean, I guess, yeah, it could go either way. Somebody's going to get entrenched in their possibly already toxic beliefs, or it's going to provide enough reflection. And that just really depends on the person. I
mm.
mean, sis, wait, there's no hope.
So the internet is supposed to kind of be like Las Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But we know that that's not true. Obviously, ChatGPT takes note of every conversation that you're having. Nothing is truly private, especially on the internet. So, with cases like the young man from Florida and anything else that could potentially come up, um, what's your opinion on, and people in the comments too, let me know, what is y'all's opinion on there being more laws and regulations that would hold ChatGPT responsible for not reporting certain things if they're talking about hurting themselves or others?
I don't think it should.
Mm.
I don't think it should. I think if anything, there should be laws to maybe because we didn't have to even, there was no terms of agreement. Was there? I don't think
Was
there was even
there?
a terms of service. I think it was literally just log in with your Google. Oh, I did see. It's owned by Microsoft and a
Mm.
nonprofit and a for-profit. Little three companies own the open AI. Microsoft is it. I think if anything, there would need to be terms of agreement to use it in their final version, and maybe as a testing platform, as a beta test, they can't do that.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
But to protect the chat GPT and even Microsoft from retaliation on people coming and saying you're responsible for this, because or being able having to report it or reporting anything at all, well, that means it's what, I don't know. That's, that movie with, this is showing my age, with Tom Cruise, and he they would go catch people before they would murder people, before they would.
I don't think I've seen that, but
So, and
okay.
it's, they called it big hogs, and there was these people that were so special they could, when the people would start planning the muck duck, these precogs would get these images and messages, and oh, this is about to happen, and they'd
Mm.
go arrest them for having thought about doing it, basically
Not actually executing.
not actually executing, and they would feeding it to the public. And of course, this is fancy future movie and
Right,
stuff,
right, right.
but like feeding it to the public, like we've saved all these lives and everything. But there's an excess amount of women who were defending themselves against their abuser, things like that. Now, I mean, there's
Mm.
already plenty of those in our prisons that are there because they finally stood up and they're doing time for it. And this just kind of showed how much more it was. But good or bad, it's not the entire public's responsibility. It's not the court system's responsibility to take the weight of those cases for people's thoughts,
Mm.
essentially. And we should have the right, I believe, to, no matter how toxic they are, If it's my device that I'm paying for on my service I'm paying for, if I've got a subscription to it and I've agreed to the terms of services, then I don't like that. It's going to share my stuff. It's going to, and I go into all my settings on Google and everything, and no, you're not sharing my data, and then calling it
Mhm.
a report to help with feedback. Never, not
Mhm.
that. I turn all that off. My microphone is off on all my social medias and everything. I may be a little crazy. I know Chris says something telling me, oh, I want to look into getting this. And next thing, his Facebook newsfeed is
Is
full of it.
all over it.
2 weeks down the line, he's making a purchase because he's been entrenched by his media in that idea.
And
And
now it's just in your face.
he just couldn't ever get away from it.
Damn.
Convinced. I don't think it should be, no matter how toxic it is, I don't think it should be reporting. That's self-reporting to the, I don't know.
It
No.
it almost is like self-reporting it, especially if it is operating off of a um reflection of the person who is inputting, then it almost seemingly has like no conscience for real to an extent. Damn.
Mhm. It doesn't have a conscience. It's not a person. It's not a thought processor. It's a large language model. All it is meant to do is to predict the most possible and most likely next word in your sentence.
Mm.
That's all it does.
Damn.
So that's what I'm saying. It's all you when you're plugging into it. It's just based off of what you put into it and what data it can pull based off the topics you're talking about. What's the most likely thing that Glorianne would go to next?
And then most of the time it be right. Most of the time I be like, dang girl. Is your chat GPT, is it a boy or girl? Because I think mine just assigned that it was a girl.
Sometimes, more often, I just feel really neutral. I think I've tried to pick up a vibe. Sometimes it's, like I said, it didn't remember what I was trying to plan out something with it,
Yeah.
and it wasn't remembering from one to the next. And I was getting frustrated with it. So that day it was totally a man. But it's very neutral to me. It gives good feedback
Mm-hmm.
like you would.
Mm-hmm.
I think prior to you, though, in my life, oh, this is broadcast. I might hurt some people's feelings. There's a couple. I've only had a couple girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple, and I was the tomboy, and I always had my guy crowd. So they gassed me up when I was, you know, doing something and proud of myself or whatever, So they kind of gave that same energy
Mm-hmm.
that would give if a best friend would give, I
Yeah.
guess. So
Yeah. It's either I know when I talked I and I know it's because of me, but it was funny. We did an episode not too long ago, but ChatGPT came up with like a quiz and it was giving multiple choice options and the sass level was to an all-time high. So like the whole time I'm asking the questions, the guys like JR and I think it was DJ that was on that episode, they were like, "Oh, ChatGPT is a girl." Like it definitely is a girl. She's being sassy. She's being mean to the boys. And I just got a tickle out of that because I didn't direct her to do that. That's just what she went with. So she
that's
had a mind of her
awesome.
own that day. So okay, I want to see if some of these will work. Oh my gosh. All right, you might have to do it on your end too. Do you have ChatGPT on your phone? Okay, nice. All right, so we're gonna try to have a little fun with ChatGPT. I'm sorry to the environmentalists. I'll slow down after this one, I
Wait,
swear.
why is it bad for the environment? Oh, because the water and
Yeah, yeah,
electricity.
yeah. The electricity.
Okay.
Sorry, okay, but it's fun. Um, and I'm gonna say this: a lot of the people that are freaking out about that are the same motherfuckers that don't know how to recycle, don't know how to.
All right,
Just
have we
saying.
done anything about the pipeline? No. Did they vote it in? Yeah.
Y'all pick and choose what you want to care about. I swear you do. But
It
that's enough.
doesn't directly actually inconvenience them, like the pipeline being
Yeah.
there. they were fed all the reasons it was convenient for them, jobs, money, all this. So yeah, that one's fine.
Mhm.
Taking over the reservations from indigenous, that's
So
fine.
sad, so sad. But you're right. No, they'll co-sign all that, but then yell at me about ChatGPT. Anyways,
I recycled this week, okay?
right, facts. So the example says read two short pieces of advice, one from ChatGPT and one from yourself, and see if listeners can guess which is which. But
Okay. But
the example was like dating advice. But I don't know what we would want to.
how to juggle being more than one title. You wear the hat of a podcast host, a content creator, a producer, a mom, office administrator, a sister, an aunt, a daughter.
You're right.
You're not identified by one of those labels. And so many women feel like they're the mom, they're the wife,
Hmm,
they're
hmm, hmm.
and
Literally, you're taking my answer away from me. Wait,
uh,
I gotta write. And then my question that I would want advice from you on so we can see if I can tell the difference.
yeah.
You're probably gonna hear this and be like, girl, why would you say that? But how do you maintain your confidence? Because you always seem so sure of yourself and powerful and just like I'm Lauren and I said what I said and I know it's right and she is. And I just I love that about you. So yeah, that's some real shit, like real advice that I need from my best friend. And now we're gonna see if
Which
ChatGPT can
one?
do it justice. Ah! Okay, hold
Okay.
on. Yee.
6 hours later.
Okay, are you ready? We took a minute, y'all. We had to take a minute. We're very serious about this. So the question, if y'all, well, y'all won't have a break in it. So it was Lauren's question. All right. And I'm going to read both of them because I had to write it down to make it even. Close your eyes. Okay, so to answer the question, first one. Truthfully, I'll let you know once I feel like I've mastered it, but all in all, I've always been determined to not fit into a box. Anytime someone tells me I can't, it makes me want to do it that much more. So I see this stage of my life as a part of my journey, a challenge that I have to go through to not only prove to everyone else, but more importantly to myself that I can be all things at once because why the hell not? Second response. Honestly, it's all about managing my time and staying organized. I've got a pretty packed schedule, but I make sure to prioritize what's important, whether it's my family, podcast, or work. I'm always working to find that balance and give each part of my life the attention it needs. It's not always easy, but I love what I do. And when you love something, you make it work. Plus, I've learned to take breaks when I need them and ask for help when it's too much. It's a lot, but I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Damn.
Is it hard for you?
I don't know if I should. I'm not gonna judge myself because for a second I did feel like a bad friend because that this isn't my answer.
Yeah.
Because that first one I was like, oh, this is on point, but this
Mhm.
isn't her. But
Mm.
then the second one, but then I'm like, when she stops and thinks about it, that is like if you were to stop to write down an answer instead of just
Mhm.
telling me what that's man.
Which one? Y'all in the we're gonna drop this as like a live
What
so you
happens if
guys
I
can
get
comment. Nothing. Because it's supposed to mimic me. I'm cracking up because I'll tell why in a minute, but go what is your final answer? I feel like we gotta do the
okay, you're the second one.
you think so?
No.
Wait, no, okay, so what was your knee-jerk reaction? Your knee-jerk reaction was
On the first one when you said I when it said or who what it when you read back that it ugh, I don't feel like I figured it out. That very first part,
Mhm.
like That one, I don't know that. At first,
That's you're right, girl. You gotta go with your gut. You're right. Ding, 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 ding. It was, and it was so funny because I asked ChatGPT, and then I didn't look at the response. I didn't read the response until I was reading it to you. That's why we gotta close our eyes because we can see each other, even though y'all are only seeing us one at a time. But I couldn't help but crack up when I was reading the second one when it was like, I make sure to prioritize, I stay organized, I take
yeah.
breaks when I need them. Like,
Well, to be fair, to give yourself credit, you did take a break.
I did.
You
Oh, no, you
realize,
know what? You're right. I did take a break in March.
and that's awareness, that's
Yeah,
growth. That's
you're right.
amazing. You realize this isn't working. This isn't what I need right now and want right now. And I need time to step back
Yeah.
and make it my best self.
Yeah, because y'all was pissing me off. And I say that with a lot of love, but y'all, whew, I had to take a step back. It's like that one homie that you got that's just like they just love you a little too much and they're too involved and they want to control everything. That's how I was feeling. But we're back. That feels good. You're right. I do know how to take breaks. But that being said, I think one of my biggest issues is the fact that I do lack confidence, and that's why I can be so easily swayed by other people's opinions, which brings me to my question for you, which is how do you maintain that sense of confidence, I'm the shit boss ass bitch energy?
So you have to close your eyes.
Okay.
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 Wait, I think I answered a little bit slightly different of a question though.
Okay.
How- Instead of how do I maintain it, um, how would you embody it?
How do you embody it?
How would
Okay.
you associate it with like an advice thing?
Mhm. Okay. Bet. I think all y'all need to listen to this. Okay. I'm
Okay,
ready.
perfect. Okay, listen. Confidence isn't about pretending you're not scared. It's about deciding that you get to lead the moment anyway. When I walk in a room, I'm not waiting to be chosen. I'm already choosing myself, and you can do that too. You already know what you bring to the table, so stop asking if you're allowed to sit down. Pull up a chair, straighten your spine, and speak from your gut.
Mm. Okay.
And then number two, girl, please. You already have the confidence, you just have to use it. Hesitation leaves room for a breakdown of confidence. When you step into an experience, you can decide to take an active or passive approach. Focusing on the present moment doesn't leave room for the anxiety to set in. I'd say take a deep breath, and if you feel like something should be happening in a moment, do it. Don't wait for someone else. This moment is your power.
Oh shit. Okay, I feel like yours is harder than mine. Um, I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna say the second one was you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I know my bitch. I know my bitch. But the first one was on point too. I
yeah.
think I guessed the set well, I didn't guess. I felt like it was the second one because you do be saying girl all the time. Like whenever I doubt myself, she'd be like, girl.
Yeah,
So I
please.
felt that. And then the other thing was you told me to breathe in the second one. And she's always like, breathe. I remember one time I called Lauren full on panic attack. I don't even remember what it was for. And I think I started off the phone call by saying, I don't even know why I feel this way. And I was rambling about all the things that didn't go wrong.
It was like 3.5 minutes straight, just da 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 for 3.5 minutes.
I was spiraling. And I think you said something along the lines of, okay, stop and breathe. Just breathe. And then she did some other what did you do? Just know it worked within like 30 to 40 seconds. It worked. And I was like,
Just
"Who? How did you do that?" And she was basically like, "I just made you stop and breathe."
I brought you back to the present moment. It's a common exercise and everything too.
See?
But like I was also thinking when I was reading them, what you did ask is how do I do it?
Mhm.
And it's not this. I answered from the mindful Lauren and what I would hope for my best friend,
Mhm.
but how I actually do it, I don't see it as for myself. It's not if I'm confident or unconfident. That's it, just nowhere in the factor for me. Is I don't have patience. I need to work
Mm.
on my patience. And at work, where you see that take charge, it's like my answer had that I don't hesitate. I'm not hesitation leaves room for what? For error, for
Mm.
lack of confidence, for questioning when again we don't know what's going to be the
Yeah.
best route sometimes until we play it out. So why hesitate? So if somebody else is hesitating, you're not going to take the lead. You're not going to take initiative. Then I'm just ready to get to point B. I'm ready to see this experience through. Let's keep it pushing, keep it moving.
Mm.
That's where mine comes from is I'm here at work, so if something's already done, that means we're moving on to what's next
Mm.
and get through what's next, so we can get on to what's next after that. It's
I,
more of a
but I really do look at that as like inspiration for me because I don't know. I used to be like that and then I lost it. And at first I felt like that was like a strength, like it was good that I wasn't like that because mine was a lack of patience, but also a lot of anger. So it was very much like not so much that I knew for a fact I wasn't wrong, but I just didn't give a fuck if I was wrong or not. It was just on to the next. But now I want to find that balance again, and I see you do that because it's not you. Like you're confident because you know your shit. You know what I'm saying, and you know your worth, and that's what I want to embody. So thank you for
but
sharing that with us. Shit, take it. She said, "Just breathe, girl." Damn, I got asthma, Lauren. I have asthma. You know this. Oh shit. I liked this episode. I like the more cozy vibes. I'm sorry I took up most of your night. I know you got a bedtime.
no,
And now
that's
you're
fine.
up late. And now you're up late and shit. But this was a lot of fun. Hopefully, you guys got a lot of good information. Let us know in the comments below what you guys think about ChatGPT. Is it a useful tool? Do you think we should ease up on it? And any experiences that you guys have had with ChatGPT as well, let us know. And I'm gonna let Lauren give another plug for her Torches page. Make sure you guys help her get to 10K on Instagram.
Yes, almost on at 10K on Instagram. Post daily little tidbits on that channel. And then on YouTube, I post every Mindful Monday 2 videos. One's a mindful living practice, and the other one is either going to be a guided meditation or tips to modify yoga poses so that, like, if you've ever tried yoga or thought about trying yoga, or you're like, that's not for me, or you hurt too bad after you did try it, give my stuff a try. I'm here to make it for real life, for real people who need that pain relief, need that release. But yeah, check me out at Torches Coaching on YouTube.
Yes. I love your page. I love what you're doing. I'm so, so proud of you. And thank you for being a part of my first episode back. This meant a lot to me.
It means the world to me that I get to be a part of your first episode back. I'm so glad you go back in it, and I'm just to see you go through all this. You are so amazing. You are so creative and inspiring, and I'm so happy that I get to like just touch on it a little bit with you, and I get to see you develop it from the side and the
Yeah,
excitement, the emotional roller coaster because you are just so invested and so real. And this is life with G. It's not some facade. It's really you. And
for real.
oh,
Thank you so much. Ah, she gonna make me cry. That's why I want to talk about all this type of shit because it's life with G's. It's not drama. I'm not trying to be the next hot topic on Zeus Network. Okay, y'all know that. I want to have real conversations about real shit that be going on in my life, and ChatGPT is one of them. Y'all stay tuned for more episodes like this, and don't forget to check out our recent drop for the So You Think You Can. So You Think You Can series with Mr. Rakib Wise. If anybody
my.
tells you that you can't, yes, the fuck you can. Best souls, blessings. It feels so good being back. We'll see you another time.